Welcome to Spring Boot Hello World tutorial with me Nam Haming from codejava.net. In this video tutorial, I will help you get started with Spring Boot, a powerful tool that really simplifies development of Java web application with a Spring framework. Using Spring Boot, you can quickly jump to code or business logic right away without wading through tons of configuration steps. Spring Boot also allows you to effortlessly create standalone web application with an embedded server like Tomcat. To follow this tutorial, what you need is Maven and JDK or Java Development Kit. Let's check the versions of Maven and JDK. Open command prompt and type Java -version to see the version of JDK. Here you can see I'm using Java version 1.8.0 or JDK8 and type mvn-v to see the version of Maven. You see, I'm using Apache Maven 3.5.4. For writing code, you can use any text editor, and I'm using a Notepad++. You see, the best way to get started with Spring Boot is using a web tool called Spring Initializr. You can access this web tool by typing http://start.spring.io. This is a Spring Initializr tool that can generate a Spring Boot project based on a number of dependencies you choose. You can see you can generate a Maven project with Java or Kotlin or Groovy and choose a Spring Boot version. Here I choose the default Maven, Java, and Spring Boot version 2.0.3. And under the project metadata, you can type group is net.codejava. Artifact ID is Spring Boot Hello World. And under the dependencies section, you can search for various of dependencies to specify types of project you want to generate. Here I choose web dependency, full stack web development with Tomcat and Spring MVC. This will generate a Maven project with support for developing Java web applications with Spring Framework, Spring MVC, and with an embedded Tomcat server. You can also click switch to the full version to see all the options. You see all the options. You can choose Java version, various dependencies types. You see, and click generate project. and download this project on the computer. Here I save it in my Java directory. Okay, click save. Save in folder. You see, now extract this zip file. Extract here, and we have Spring Boot hello world directory here, and this is the code generated by Spring Initializr. You can see there's a Maven project file here, the pom.xml file. Let's open this file in a text editor. I edit it with Notepad++. You see, this is the content of the generated Maven project file pom.xml. You can see the parent of this pom is Spring Boot starter parent. This defines common defaults such as Java version, source encoding, various Maven plugin configuration for Java Spring Framework development, resource filtering. You can go for this parent pom. Yeah, open the result on GitHub. Click here, pom.xml, and you can see the content, the actual content of the Spring Boot starter parent. You see, it defines the Java version, source encoding UTF-8. You can see many plugins configuration here. Okay, and you can see this Spring Boot starter parent pom also inherits dependency management from Spring Boot dependencies, which defines the dependency information for Spring Boot, Spring Framework, and various common libraries for Java web development. You can also search for these Spring Boot dependencies. And open the result on github.com. And this is the content of the Spring Boot dependencies Maven project file. You can see dependency versions. You can see. You can see there are many dependencies declared here. Spring Framework Boot. many Spring Boot starter let's see the versions. You can see FreeMaker, Glassfish, Hibernate Validator, HTML Unit, Jackson, JSTL, JUnit, Log4j, MS SQL, JDBC, MySQL, and dependency for Spring Framework. You see. And in this Spring Boot Maven project file, you can see there are two dependencies declared here. The first one is Spring Boot Starter Web, which is Spring Boot Starter that specifies a group of dependencies for developing the web applications such as Spring Web MVC and embedded Tomcat server. And the next dependency is Spring Boot Starter Test, which is for testing with JUnit. We don't need this, so you can delete this dependency. For simple Hello World tutorial, we need only Spring Boot Starter Web. Okay. Save the file. And you can see in the plugin section, the Spring Boot Maven plugin enables automatic creation of an executable jar file for a standalone Java web application with embedded Tomcat server. So that you understand the purpose of the parent form, Spring Boot Starter Web Dependency, and Spring Boot Maven plugin. Let's get back to the command prompt and change the current directory to the directory where we have extracted the Spring Boot project. On my computer, it is in Java Spring Boot Hello World. Okay, you can see pom.xml. And you can type mvn dependency :g to see the dependency structure of the project. And depending on the computer, Maven may download various jar files from Maven's central repository. Here on my computer, the first time I used Maven and Spring Boot, so it is downloading a lot. But after that, it will be very quick. Download have finished, and you can see the result of our command to see the dependency G. You see dependency for our project. You can see Spring Boot starter web, Spring Boot starter web. You can see log4j, Spring Framework core, Spring Boot starter Tomcat, embed Tomcat core, Spring web, Spring web MVC. So all these dependency support development of server web application with Spring Framework with embedded Tomcat web server. Now type the command again. Let's clear the console. Clear. Sorry, C mvn dependency G. And you see now it doesn't download anything. Just bring the structure of the dependency of the project. Next, let's see another code generated in the project directory under the src main java net code java spring boot hello one. You see spring boot hello one application.java is generated by Spring Initializr to open this in a text editor. You see this very simple program, and we need to write some code to make this Hello One web application. We write a method, home method, and use REST controller annotation. Delete this annotation. Modify the import statement to import all the classes, and also import ORG Spring Framework. Spring Framework web by annotation. I think one of drawbacks of Spring Initializr is that it doesn't generate code that can be used right away. As you can see, I had to modify the generated class for our Hello One web application. The address controller annotation tells Spring that this class is a web controller, and each controller method should return the resulting string directly back to the client. And the next annotation we use is enable auto configuration. This annotation tells Spring Boot to automatically configure the application based on the specified dependencies. Since we specify Spring Boot start a web dependency, Spring Boot will automatically configure our project to use Spring MVC and embedded Tomcat server. And the home is a controller method, and if you are familiar with Spring MVC, use a request at a request mapping annotation to provide routing information for Spring dispatcher split. You see, this specifies that any HTTP request with the path / should be handled by this method, and in this method we simply return a string to the client, return hello world Spring Boot. And in the main method, which is the entry point to the application, we call the run method of the Spring application class to bootstrap our web application running in an embedded Tomcat server. The first argument is a class, which is our Spring Boot Hello World application class. So Spring we configure this class as a web component. And the second argument is a string array, which is a application command line arguments. This array is passed through to the run method to support configuration via applications command line arguments when needed. That's it. This is a code of our web application. Now let's compile and run this application with Maven. Type npm spring -boot : run. Enter. We got an error here. Let's see what is the problem. It says the Spring Boot Hello World application test.java does not exist. We don't use any tests, so let's go back to the project directory. We can delete the test class. Delete this test class. Okay. And run the command again. It may have to download the jar file from Maven central repository, as you can see. But for the first time only. The next time it will be very quick. Download completed, and you can see the logo of Spring Boot. Don't worry. You can see the code was compiled successfully, and you can see Spring Boot is started, and you can see its logo appears here, and it start a Tomcat server listening on port 8080. See, but we got an error because there's another application is also listening on this port, so simply stop that application. In my case, I use my server here, so I stop in my own project. Okay, no problem. Now we can run the command again. And the Spring Boot logo appears, and it is starting a Tomcat embedded Tomcat web server. Click allow access. You can see embedded Tomcat web server and our web application name, and you can see Spring Framework, simple ELL handler mapping. So that means the server web embedded Tomcat web server is up and running. Okay, you see compile files, Spring Boot started, and Tomcat server is up and running. Now let's try to access our web application from browser. http:// localhost 8080 / and hit enter. You see hello world Spring Boot text display. That means our web application is up and running, and the controller method home is executed. That returns a string. Okay, and to stop the server, press Control C and answer yes, and the server stopped. Now let's modify this Hello World application a little bit. For example, I can use HTML heading one tag here, and write another controller method, change new form. For example, request mapping. Here we use URL / new. Okay, and return heading 2, initial new form, heading 2. Okay, now let's compile and run the application again. Ambient spring -boot :run, hit enter. Now let's refresh the browser, and you see the text has displayed with larger font because we have changed to use the HTML heading one tag. And now let's try to access this part new, and you see this is a new form. That is exact what we code in the application. Press Ctrl C to stop the server. And now let's package our web application as a standalone Java application in an executable Java file. We type ambient package to package our web application. Again, Maven is downloading necessary Java files. You see, build success, and you can see Java file is created here. Building Java. This is the executable Java file of our web application. You see, in the target directory, you can see here in the target directory, you can see our executable Java here, and from now you can run the web application as a standalone Java application by executing this Java file. And for example, type Java target Spring Boot. Okay, hit enter. And now you see Spring Boot is started. Hello says the server is up and running. You can see the two paths are mapped. Okay, let's refresh our web browser. See, and you see it is running as normal. So that's how to package our web application, Spring Boot application as an executable Java file.